recorded live from the secret underground lair of Crimson Cowl Comics and Collectibles. This is the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast.
The following issues may contain spoilers. You'd be surprised how much E.T. is around when you're not even looking. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
And I'm Katie.
Welcome to issue number 326 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast. Every time we record, we talk about comic books. On this week's episode, we won't have a club discussion, but we will jump into the weekly reviews. That's where we go back and forth, talk about the books that we've been reading, whether they're new, whether they're old. We're going to talk about them there. Then in the news segment, we are jumping into the previews preview. That's where we go through the giant previews catalogs, and this will be the May catalogs for products coming out in July 2025 and beyond. So we'll talk about the recommendations from all of the publishers later on in the show. But before we get to that, let's start off with the weekly reviews. First up for me is Leaving Nowhere. The author writes, "This is a story that's dear to me as it's quite literally a raw piece of myself being put on display. Based off of a somewhat true story, fantasy elements were gladly implemented with abandon. Leaving Nowhere was a story that I felt more could relate to. I also felt it necessary to reiterate that everyone is already worthy of love, just by being themselves. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did making it." This is done by my friend Lavi from Lavi HQ. This is her first ever self-published comic book, and while I was at the Free Comic Book Day weekend in beautiful downtown Skokie at All Ya Comics, she hand-delivered my copy, so it was cool to get the book in hand here. And yeah, this is a real personal story, has a lot of emotion. It is about a character named Clara, who is taking a train ride. Actually, I'll start with this. The train ride is it was part of a prompt, some kind of challenge that she was doing, and the challenge was that the story had to include a train. So she kind of threw that into this and used this. Somewhat true story and through these characters. And it's essentially about Clara, who is going on a train ride, and she is basically meeting up with an ex, somebody or maybe someone that's she's separated with, in order to have some discussions with them and kind of talk about their problems. And during this time, she is kind of, talking about their past, and she has a friend that she connects with and kind of talking about how this trip goes. We do see that interaction. It is kind of like a slice of life. It's a kind of a one shot jump right into these characters. There's I think you got as much backstory as you would need. Like, it leaves it very vague in the sense that you don't know exactly what happened specifically, but the problem is vague enough to kind of relate to and just kind of understand the emotions and kind of really get where the characters were coming from. But yeah, ultimately it's mostly a two-person story, just kind of dealing with this couple and their issues. And yeah, I think it's very well done. A lot of emotion. There's a lot of cool design stuff. I don't want to show off too much in here. I'll find this cool glowy picture. Lavi, with her art, she is very good with glowing characters and objects and things like that. And she gets to represent that into her book as well. A lot of her character prints and things like that always have like a beautiful glow to it. So it was fun to kind of get that actually thrown into this comic as well. But yeah, this was something that she's wanted to do for some time, and basically put herself to the challenge. And one extra little bonus, I'll read one of the got like some blurbs on the back here. Um, Lavi is a wonderful storyteller. She's able to deliver emotions with her words and gorgeous colors in a way that feels natural and effortless. Oh man, I wish I said that. And wait, this is from Anthony Laatsch, creator of Rice Christopher. So yeah, I was I was more than happy to lend a blurb to this book. And yeah, so it's awesome. This is the thing. She's got some other things that are in the works as well. She is the creator of the webcomic Deck Kingdom. We talked about that with her on her episode of Cartoonist by Night over on YouTube, and that is where she did a lot of webcomic work, but then she kind of wanted to join us on the physical plane here with the comic books. Every time I do this, like my screen turns colors here, so I'm distracted by I'm turning into a Simpsons character here. But yeah, this is wonderful. It's cool to see this product happen, self-published, and it's very brand new and it's out there. If you want a copy of this, reach out to Lavi. Go to Lavi HQ on Instagram. You'll find her website and links and all that kind of information. And yeah, so this is Leaving Nowhere. Um, and yeah, nothing else to say other than congratulations. All right, jump over to Kirby. What you got?
All right. I haven't read anything from this in a long time, but I picked up Lenore, the Time War, number 1 and 2. I just read issue 2 and reviewed it on my uh, YouTube channel and wasn't sure what I'd have fully read because I was mixed up where they're at. Because I'm like, I don't remember reading number 1. And then I found number 1 last night. So I figured I'd catch it back up and reread it. But Lenore hasn't been around for like 6 years since they put an issue out. And the fun thing about this is done by Roman Dirge. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. Take a quick swig. Get it all over myself. All right. It starts out explaining to you, giving you a little feedback by Flashback Squirrel, who just happens to be living at the bottom of the ocean with underneath a crab. Don't know how a squirrel ends up in the water, but he gives us a nice little flashback, what's been going on, and explains that our characters basically came across this weird helmet that she put on her head, and it came to life, and it tried to eat them all, murder everyone, and then there were a couple time goats that showed up, and they sat there and of course end up eating the goats. But because of everything that happened, all of a sudden Lenore starts to feel weird. The other characters get zapped different areas in time, where our one little what's his name, the one with the little pumpkin head, Pootie ends up back in Roman days. And you get to see him battling in the Coliseum, and you find out that for 6 years now he's been battling there, and he comes after the battle, after he wins, he's like, my name is Pudicus. And then we find out the other character, can't remember any of their names, but he's the one that's kind of looks like a doll that's been stitched together, patched together and stuff. Well, he's hanging out with these I got pterodactyls in my head now, uh, the raptors. He's got 4 raptors that he hangs out with, and they go around killing dinosaurs and eating them. And he named his raptors Dahmer, Gacy, Lizzie Borden, and Sleepy Pete. And then we find out how they go back to Pootie and give you some more updates. But then we find out that Pootie's also got a bunch of women that are in his harem, I guess you could call it. But they've been getting pregnant and having strange little creature babies that he just keeps tossing in a room and leaving them there to play with each other. And our Lenore meets up with them. They finally join up together. Those two, they still got to go find the other character. But she has this weird Cthulhu-like thing that she kind of throws up out of her mouth, and we find out that she kind of accidentally ate it. But it's apparently one of the children of the giant Cthulhu that her and a group of characters ended up summoning. But before I get to that part, the nice thing about these books also, they got a two-sided poster in the center of each one. There's a bigger Cthulhu there.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're basically the world or the timeline or whatever that she was put into, got her stuck in this weird area with these like kind of like the Jawas that feel like that, just little characters behind hoods, and they're just constantly going around saying "un takakaka," and they're just chanting that over and over, and that's what summons the Cthulhu. And that's how she ends up accidentally eating one of the Cthulhu babies. But but this gives a great look back at all the characters, everything that's going on, and then you get that 6 year back history, what they've been up to, and then you also get a nice tattoo flash page in the back, and then there's a couple short single page stories that were done by other creators. Well, the first one is done by Dirge. And the other one was done by Emmy Baz, which I've never heard that name before. Then it goes into this issue where this character appears that can kind of help them get themselves back to where they need to be. He's kind of like a weird bug character, and he has these powers to travel through space and time and get people to where they need to go and all that stuff. They're trying to work with that, but he's really that's why this one was so confusing to me, because it starts out with that character, and then you see him doing all this weird stuff, like he rips the alligator's head off the alligator and then sticks the head on some kid's head. And he was very, very strange. But he's like an Egyptian godlike being. And that's when Lenore finds him and gets all excited about all the cats that are there because of the Egypt area. But yeah, I really like this. It's a nice little, I don't think you'd have to go back to there's the center page on this one. I don't think you'd have to go back to the old Lenore to understand it all, what's going on. They give you enough stuff in here. But another nice thing is they have this kind of newspaper comic-y feel stuff. It's like I really love the way that their pages feel. Even the sketch cover feels like that too. And the pages they're not that weak newspaper type. It's a thicker style. But yeah, it gives you that old school feel and tons of covers to go with each issue. Yeah, I'm happy Lenore's back and looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Cool. Yeah, I talked about his that counting to 10 book that he did, and then realizing that was the Lenore creator and stuff. So I've yet to dive into that proper beyond the free comic book day issues and samples and stuff. But cool.
Yep.
All right, we are going to jump over to Katie. What you got for us?
All right, this week I am bringing a middle grade graphic novel. It's called the Wings of Fire series, and I am reviewing book 3, The Hidden Kingdom. The novel series is written by Twee T. Sutherland and adapted by Mike Holmes doing the art. This is from Scholastic. Little background. So I actually found out about this series from a project I'm doing with my brother, and I've really actually been enjoying it, despite the fact that I'm probably not, the target age range for it. So the general theme is that in this world of dragons, they're sentient and humans are kind of there, but we're very much prey animals. So this is, a dragon story. There's a war going on between three rival princesses who are all competing for the throne, and different dragon tribes and groups are taking factions and sides, and it's been very violent and destructive. And a group called the Talons of Peace wants to end the war and kind of unilaterally form a council of dragons who are like-minded. And they heard about a prophecy that some dragonettes, so baby dragons, would be the ones to stop the war and choose the queen and bring about the powers of the Wings of Fire. And our group of 5 dragonettes they were all abducted while they were still in their eggs and have now grown up together. They escaped from the Talons of Peace, but unfortunately just went right back into the fire. They've been getting in trouble ever since, with the various queens of the dragon tribes coming after them and imprisoning them. And the dragonettes are learning about themselves and their people and what has been going on in the world while they're hidden away. That brings us up to book 3. Book 3 focuses on the Rainwing dragonette named Glory. Now, the Rainwing dragonettes live in the rainforest, and they're honestly kind of like a bunch of hippies. Like, they're just like laying around, eating fruit, chilling out. They all take turns being queen, and the current queen could not be bothered to do anything about the problems in the tribe. And yeah, they're just like very chill, but to the point that it's being, I don't want to say lazy, but disengaged. And unfortunately, the dragonettes discover that dragons have been going missing from the Rainwing tribe, and it's more than a few. There were like 14 still missing and 3 that have suspected to die, and nobody seems to be doing anything about this. But Glory is very concerned about this, and she is quite disappointed in her birth family. Incidentally, the Talons of Peace mentors would always give Glory crap and be like, "Oh, you're lazy, you're stupid, you don't care." And she's like, "No, that's not true at all. You are just like stereotyping me." Turns out they were stereotyping her, but there are also, the Rainwings need to be shaken up a little bit. Glory is like, "Well, I'm gonna go and find wherever these dragons have been taken to. Like, this is not right. I don't know why everyone's not worried about this." And it turns out that the dragons have been abducted by a faction of the Nightwing army. The Nightwing's another group of dragons. They're very mysterious, very kind of aloof. We don't know a lot about them yet, us as the reader, and they've been abducting dragons. And it looks like they are interested in the Rainwings because Rainwings have a venom attack, and they want to study that and understand it. So Glory and her friends attempt to rescue everyone. They end up escaping with only one dragonette, so they go back to kind of the Rainwing city and are like, "Hey, we need to organize a force to go out there and get everyone before more people die." And then I guess at the end of the book, we're going to see if they do that or not, because the current Rainwing queen was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll get to them, when I get to them." And Glory's like, "No, that's not okay. I challenge you for the throne and the right to go and rescue these other Rainwings." So hopefully Glory is going to take the throne, and she offered a peaceful solution because none of the dragons really like hurting other dragons. So they're going to have, it would seem, a contest of strength and of wills to see if she can be queen. And I hope she wins, and I hope they get the other dragonettes back. And I don't think the Rainwings are necessarily bad. They have a little bit of growing up to do. This has been a series that I'm enjoying a lot. I am deeply impressed that this is a book that I would say is appropriate for like if a precocious 4th grader, depending on your 4th grader, but definitely 5th grade through like 8th grade. I'm really impressed with, the depth of the world building and kind of the overarching conflict and the different ways that the dragon tribes are kind of scheming and representing getting their advantage in with the dragonettes. Some of them are like, "Yeah, we want the dragonettes to succeed." A whole bunch are like, "No, like we want this war to continue for our own reasons. Really impressed with that level of depth. The book itself is very colorful. It's, beautifully done. All of the dragons are distinct from each other, so you can tell visually who's who. And I would say they hover, um, I've read half on Kindle and half in my book, like actual paperback book. I would say in paperback they hover around 130 to 150 pages, and they're in about that 4 by 6 format. There is also a novel series of this as well. So prose readers, there's like 14 novels out and some prequels and a coloring book, whole bunch of good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I am way past being in fourth grade, but I am getting a lot out of it. I care about these dragons, their character development, and I want to continue seeing how they grow and where their adventures take them. So that's my review of the Wings of Fire graphic novel series, Book 3, The Hidden Kingdom by Tui T. Sutherland, and published by Scholastic. So check it out. And if you have a young kid in your life, I think you should check it out with them.
Cool. Excellent. All right. The next thing I'm talking about here is one of the greatest things I've ever read before. 3 aliens in a trench coat. 3 artists, 3 prompts, 3 aliens in a trench coat. An all ages anthology about plants, love, and Ohio in space. 50 plus pages of sumptuous comics and illustrations, galactic goofs, and it's funny I screwed up saying goof, and alien creatures you wish existed on Earth. This is done by Aaron Azar, Jamie Deere, and Lee Onusco. At Comics Free Comic Book Day, Strange Deer Press. I've talked about them and Jamie Deere in the past. And they set up their table at the Comics on Saturday, and they are known for making a lot of comics and zines. And there's always so much to look at. It's like you look at the output of all of these, these 3 people, and I think there's a couple other people in their collective Strange Deer Press group. But there's just so many interesting things, and I didn't know. I just saw this as an anthology, and I was curious what it was. And then you find out with the title page, it's 3 aliens in a trench coat, to kind of give an example there. And so they were given the space with this kind of prompt and all kind of telling like alien stories. And what's really fun is that it opens up with kind of a little intro, like a forward type of thing. I'll read a little bit here. Deep in Ohio, in what is known as the Rust Belt region of the dissolved nightmare of America, 3 individuals attempted hive mind synthesis without the ability to achieve it by searching for the thing about alien existence that made their mind's eye glimmer. Collected here is the result of that journey, the blurred boundary of individual and group. For those of us in a hive mind, these exercises are particularly interesting, which is why I translated it for the collection of intergalactic art. Thank you for taking time to absorb it in your membranes. And this, of course, was written by scholar Sprogfrin Gleed of the Second Universal Veracity Hive Mind Archives End Moon Dutch Tate 92863.75.10004. I think that's the person right there. I'm just going to assume. But yeah, so it had a really funny intro because when you read it, you're kind of getting an idea that, okay, these 3 human creators are telling these stories, but it's being presented like through this alien lens in a way. And there's a lot of really fun stories in here. A lot of different kind of art styles, and there are a lot of there's one just about this person kind of going through space, and there's just a lot of just really cool black and white ink art. And it's like it's one of those things, the kind of style where there's just so much to look at, and just like, and it's, I'm sure it would be gorgeous in color, but it's really impressive in black and white, just to kind of, especially with the background being literal space. And so I think that helps a lot. But this person is talking about like a breakup, and their pet frog kind of jumps out of their little spaceship there, and into this environment where this person runs into like this alien life form, and they have a little scuffle, and then there might be a common bond or connection that the frog will kind of tell the rest of the story on, how these two kind of cross paths. These are all kind of short stories, so I kind of want to be a little vague and kind of show that off there. I'll show another example of the art on this one here. This first story, let me look here. I think that one was done by Aaron, if I'm not mistaken. They all kind of blend into each other and kind of go back and forth, and yeah, that one was done by Aaron, and they all kind of contribute, little pieces throughout the story. But there's one specifically that is the reason why I mentioned this is one of the greatest things I've ever read, because I was not prepared for one of the last stories in this book here that is done by Jamie Deere. I talked about Jamie's graphic novel Pivot on this very show, and then we had a good laugh about how their website is potatofuzz .itch.io. I think that's the website, and Jamie's awesome, does a lot of great stuff. And in this intro here, I was very intrigued by the opening pages here of seeing what ends up being Jamie kind of setting something down on the ground. I didn't really think much of it, and then we find out this is a story about Jamie and E.T. That is right, Jamie and E.T. in a story called I Give a Tour of My Hometown, Kent, Ohio, to My Oldest Fear, E.T. Now, like I said, I was not prepared for what was about to happen here. This is a short story, independent self-published creators, so I'm doing as much as I can to promote it rather than, giving anything away on something like this. But this is essentially a real life story of how Jamie has had a lifelong fear of ET. Seeing the movie as a young kid, not just in a like, oh, that was a scary movie, but literally just being scared of the character of ET and everything about ET. I'll show another cool image here. And the story is being told through the lens that Jamie is now showing ET their hometown in Ohio, and in where you're kind of in a headspace of that. Okay, I've gone a long way. As a kid, I was scared of you, but now I've accepted you, and now I'm showing you my hometown to the playground and the school and house and like all this kind of stuff. And Jamie goes on to explain some of the things they remember about uh, what they were afraid of ET, the extending neck, the way he seemed slimy to me, the yell, the alien scream, the shuffling, shambling way he moved, the odd, slow voice, ooh, Elliot, and then what everyone can agree on. E.T.'s limp and gray body, which, towards the end of the movie, which is just, it is a horrific sight. So that's a common ground that I think a lot of people could agree on. But, if you look at Gertie, Drew Barrymore in the movie, she was very much, loving ET and all that stuff once they got to know him and things like that. But yeah, this story is there. It does have the real truth that Jamie was frightened and basically got like PTSD from this character. And there's moments in here talking to like a therapist and kind of trying to like really like unpack on how this character has really affected them all their life. And after reading this Sunday morning and then seeing Jamie the next day at Oh Yeah Comics again, I just mentioned, I'm just like, I just read this and I read the ET story and I was blown away. It was amazing. And I said, I just want to know that if I show up at Oh Yeah Comics wearing my ET shirt, which, by the way, if you're listening to this on iTunes, go over to Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube to subscribe to the video version. I dug out the ET shirt for this review. I said, like, is this a good thing? Like, should like I don't want to, I don't want to bring trauma out. And Jamie was like, "Oh no, no, that's all cool. We're all good now." So, but it was one of those that I just don't want to all of a sudden like unzip and then here's like ET here, just like Jamie. I didn't want any, create any. I don't want to create a reason for another graphic novel story. Um, the one thing I will share here to kind of finish off this review, because I had mentioned this to Jamie, where there's a talking about dreams of ET, of like ET's popping up everywhere, not only with just all the merchandise and this and that, but there's a very specific, and I don't know if this part's true, but it's at least great for the comic book story, is that even ET was at their grandma's house, and it says, "Grandma goes, I want you to meet my fiance," and their grandma is with a giant ET. And I'm just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever read. This is so amazing. So yeah, coping with the fear of ET by giving ET a tour of their hometown, I thought was a really genius way to tell it in a comic book form and kind of dealing with this real life fear, which they've now reconciled. And if anything, it gets me. I've read this twice now. Gets me to want to watch ET again very soon. And yeah, I thought this was amazing. And then on Sunday, Jamie was sitting there hanging out with everybody, and I was set up at the Oh Yeah Comics, and I have one of my little crispy doodle cards that I draw on my sketch cards. So I drew my first ET and gifted it to Jamie. So yeah, I saw them sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw ET real quick for them. So, but yeah, it's this I loved it. The other stories are great too, but that ET one, I'm going to be thinking about that for a long, long time. So that is three aliens in a trench coat, three artists, three prompts, three aliens in a trench coat. Check out Jamie Deere through Strange Deer Press. Just type it all into Instagram and all that fun stuff, or go to that. I think it's Potato Fuzz. Yep, potatofuzz.itch.io for more. All right, you're next.
Yeah, I don't blame you, Jamie. That thing was freaky.
Yeah, it's like,
Could have been a fun alien movie with kids, but no,
yeah.
they had to bring the government in, and that's what makes it all freaky.
Oh yeah, and the one thing too, Jamie told me that this story was drawn at Oh Yeah Comics, so when they have their like creator hangouts and stuff on Monday night, that was a cool little thing to find out that story just poured out of Jamie, and now it's in this anthology. So, all right.
All right, I checked out Savage Tales issue 1. I think it was only one issue. It could be wrong. Don't remember having any more on my list, but this is done very well. I liked it. They have basically 4 short stories in here representing a few different characters from the whole Dynamite Squad. Starting out with Gulliver of Mars, His War, Chapter 3. Kind of weird that they start out with one story that's Chapter 3 right off the bat. But I don't know who this Gulliver character is. I don't think I read anything from him. He reminds me a lot of John Carter from Mars, but he's got his own separate story. But he's on the planet talking about how it used to be a nice wilderness and all that, and now it's all desert. And follows this one stream that he does find in the desert area of the desert planet, basically Mars. Uh, and when he follows the stream, it takes him to all these savages that are left. And there was another group of people that were nice and friendly. He can't find them anymore, so you can imagine what happened because of it. But he's kind of in search of a love of his past, Haru, and they get separated. He's trying to get back to her. While he follows the stream, a giant three-headed snake attacks him. And he's got to deal with that, and then it leads into what happens with him and Haru and the uh, faction that's left on the planet. Then we go into John Carter and Deja Thoris, A Mutiny on Mars. I should mention the first story was done by David Avallone, drawn by Hamish Cook, colors by Jorge Satel, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. And then John Carter and Deja Thoris of Mars, A Mutiny on Mars, is done also by David Avallone. Then drawn by Eamon Casalos. And then colors Jorge Sutil and Jeff Eckelberry doing letters again. But this one, yeah, John Carter dealing with some faction, just his normal self, acting all has his fun, cocky type behavior, and they sit there and get him pinned down, and then he goes off on them, and they end up in this big battle, and Deja Thoris has to go and deal with some other group of characters also, and you just see them trying to escape this faction in here. It doesn't go much beyond that, but there are some things happen that you'll have to check out on your own. And the third story was a nice Vampirella one. Vampirella, the real thing. And pretty much everybody's, oh, yeah, we got the same on here also, except for drawn by Mariano Benitez Chapo. And then in this one, you got some kids, one that looks like a vamp, like she's a vamp, and they're sitting there doing a movie, and they're getting ready to open up a crypt, and they don't know that there's real vampires in the world or anything. They're just making a vampire style movie, joking about it, and they open up the crypt, and there's 3 Nosferatu style vampires playing cards, and then you see Vampirella pop in to deal with the bloodsuckers, and they get it all on footage and stuff on their video camera that they keep recording with and stuff. But yeah, you get to see Vampirella go off on them and what happens in the outcome of that. That was another very enjoyable story. And then we got Seeing Red with Red Sonja, and this was written by Kurt Busiek. And then Benjamin Dewey did the art, and Simon Boland did letters. And it was Red Sonja, Seeing Red, nice black, white, and red style artwork. But she gets basically hired to try and get this ruby that's stuck on this sarcophagus on his dead mummy type character. And while she's in this room, there's all kinds of jewels and stuff everywhere, and she keeps getting attacked by an invisible being from behind, and then she eventually finds a way. She can hear it as it's getting weaker and weaker as it battles, and ends up throwing some blood at it, and it starts to show what she is dealing with, that she has to battle with there, and the people that sent her there are expecting her to get killed by the creature that lives there so they can go and take all the gold and everything and then get that ruby that they want. That's supposed to give some special powers, but you get to see what Red Sonja does with everything, and it's just another wonderful story. I really enjoyed this. I was very happy how it came out. I'm pretty sure it was a one shot, but I could be wrong. So check out Savage Tales by Dynamite.
Cool. All right, one more for the weekly reviews here. Also purchasing from Strange Deer Press off of their table. We are talking about Simon Didn't Say, a horror comic about the dangers of digging too deep by Abigail Lee. This was truly interesting. I read this one twice. Really cool cover here. You see a brother and a sister. And this story it starts off with the sister going up to the little brother at the beach and kind of, having you listen to the ocean, through a seashell type of thing. A little premise leads to Simon kind of being frustrated that he is having like ear troubles, and he can't hear quite as well. And his sister seems to be around to help out a lot. I don't see any parents or anything like that, but they refer to like school and classes and things like that. So it just sounds like the older sister's kind of. Am I frozen?
Yep.
Can you hear me perfect though?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. It's just image froze.
Interesting. So we'll see if that comes back. But so yeah, this is a real interesting story where the older sister is kind of taking care of her brother and wanting to help clean out his ears, basically, and just being like, all right, you're having some issues. You still see some playing around with kind of making him squirm and stuff like that. But there's a very interesting thing that happens, which I wish I could show right now, but my screen's still frozen. Let me see if I can shut it off and shut it on. We are back.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
all good now.
cool. I blame ET. Um, so yeah, the older sister is going through and has her brother lying down on her lap and basically going through and trying to help clean out his ears. But what happens is that as they're kind of talking, kind of distracting him, blah blah blah. Um, she removes something from his ears, and there's a moment where like some of this stuff, it's a horror story. It might be, uh, dramatized for the sake of telling the story, because I don't think this physically came out, but it's basically like almost like a fortune out of a fortune cookie that came out of this little boy's ear. I think just it's representing. I don't. It's comic books. It's fiction, but she pulls out a note that says, "God, did you see Blondie's hair?" And she's wondering what's going on, and she's saying, "Hey, did the girls from my class like say something about me at church, blah blah blah." And ultimately it is a story where she keeps wanting to help clean his ears out, basically to lift out words and secrets and chatter, things that this boy has heard that is harkening back to something that may have happened to her, that she's kind of being the talk of the school. With it being a short story and a horror comic, and it does a good job of kind of letting the audience just kind of assume their own thing of like what happened. Um, we don't know what's happened. I've read this twice just to kind of see if I missed something, but I think the not knowing what happens is just meant to be part of the story. And it's real interesting because she just is always eager to just kind of keep helping him hear better, and she's pulling out all these phrases and sentences, and it gives you a lot to read. There's some really great artwork. This will be the last thing I show because it's just a gorgeous double splash page here of all of this chatter that this little boy has heard. And you can read all this stuff and you just get little bits and pieces, like if you were to walk down like a school hallway or something and hearing everybody talking about it, and you're just hearing little bits of everything. And this particular page is talking about like, oh, Simon's sister, she's strange, and this and that, and she disappeared, and is she alive? And there's just all this stuff that just really lets the reader kind of wonder what's going on. And it's such a unique, creepy horror story being told that she's just fishing this information out of her little brother's ears, like just what he's heard and stuff. So yeah, that's all I kind of want to tease. It is I'm trying to think size wise, it might be the size of a standard comic, just done in kind of a more of a zine format size. um but yeah, this was really interesting. Abigail Lee, little bio, also from Strange Tears, I mentioned, is a comic and story artist and self-proclaimed scaredy cat. She has recently taken a liking to creating horror and uses her experiences of being Korean American, the things that scare her, and her itchy skin as inspiration. Very interesting. So yeah, I'm curious to check out more everyone from Strange Deer, but especially because I think there's a couple horror stories that Abigail Lee has been telling in these zine formats. So yeah, this was really like I could just see this being real creepy, like if it was like an episode of like a horror anthology episode or movie or something, just a one-off story that while we would like to know a lot of information, I do like the suspense of kind of leaving things up to the reader to kind of figure out, kind of like what I was talking about with Lavi's comic too, where you don't dive too much into the backstory. You're just existing in the present, and the less the less makes it scarier, something like that. But yeah, this is really cool. So that is Simon Didn't Say by Abigail Lee over at Strange Deer Press. I know a lot of their stuff in the Chicago area. I think they're in a lot of shops and things like that, and I'm sure in Ohio because I think some of them are rooted in Ohio or come from Ohio. And then I think their website pretty much has a lot of online options for either mailing out and like PDFs and stuff like that. And they like to go to a lot of like Zine Fest and stuff like that. I know off air, me and Kirby were talking about, in Chicago and Milwaukee, they have Cake and Milk. Both are Zine Fest and also probably what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. But yeah, I'm very excited to just keep buying more stuff from them because just real cool, quirky, weird, original stuff. So, oh yeah, and I almost forgot this because I was sitting there. Also from Jamie Deere, I bought this. It's a a lot of mini comics. Hold on, here we go. How to Dance. This is a mini comic that I think was $1. I'm only going to show the first two steps in the first pages here. Step one, music, and then there's a lot of different options of where you can get your music from, your speakers, your YouTube, there's this, the radio, this and that, whatever. Step two, arms, and just kind of shows you all the different ways to move your arms. All of these things are optional, all the different steps, because Jamie even mentioned that not everybody has access to all of these things, and is a very inclusive way for everybody to learn how to dance. And yeah, it became a funny little gag at the store on Saturday when we're all hanging out, and there's a lot of us had these little how to dance pamphlets, and I just gotta just admire the work of just drawing these little cartoons and making little $1 comics, and yeah, it's good stuff. All right, that is going to do it then for the weekly reviews, but we do have one more segment, and that is the news.
And now, the news.
Welcome to the Previews Preview. We are jumping into the May catalog for products coming out in July 2025 and beyond. We will kick it off with Marvel. The first one I saw here, it's a bunch of series of one-shots that they're doing. This giant size House of M, where they're kind of reimagining stories. There was an Age of Apocalypse, the one I talked about last month, but they're kind of reimagining stories, and I think a lot of them are done with Kamala thrown into the story. So here we go. 20 years after it first shattered mutant kind, Kamala Khan witnesses the rise and fall of the Scarlet Witch's doom utopia. She's flown with the all different X-Men on their first mission, withstood the Dark Phoenix, and survived the Age of Apocalypse. And now Miss Marvel is rewarded with a world where mutants reign supreme. But beneath the gilded surface, this utopia is rotting with prejudice and oppression, and Kamala must find an unlikely ally in a school teacher, Kitty Pryde, to help learn to live in this brave new world. So yeah, I'm excited for all these things. I think there might be a couple I missed because I didn't know what they were all doing with these, if they're all one shots or whatever. But yeah, I got a couple of them pre-ordered, so I'm excited for giant size House of M. Kirby?
I'm gonna wait for the trade on this one, I believe. But we got so many good Godzilla books coming out. But Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
They have coming out next. 5-issue run. Look out, New York. A previously dormant Godzilla has been angrily awoken and begun carving a path of annihilation as Earth's mightiest heroes band together to try and stop its cataclysmic rampage. But when their combined efforts fail to slow the bringer of destruction, Earth's heroes are forced to go to extraordinary lengths to try and bring Godzilla down, including joining forces with Earth's most devious villains. But will this be enough to stop Godzilla as it tears straight through the Marvel Universe into the Dark Dimension and other realms? Plus, how is the King of Monsters connected to the mysterious metal vibranium? And what does this mean for Wakanda? In the face of an unstoppable force of nature, the Marvel Universe must come together like never before in this earth shattering fight for Earth's survival. It's all hands on deck in the first of 5 electrifying chapters in this epic saga.
Yep, that's on my list too. That looks like fun.
And they do have, I love that they went back to the cartoon and did that cover
Oh, nice.
of Godzilla and the little Godzilla. I used to watch that. I remember that.
Godzuki the kid.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's his name or, but yeah.
Cool. Katie, anything from Marvel?
Sure, I have it's Jeff, Infinity Paws, #1 by Jason Liu and now Fuji. Um, I really do like Jeff the Land Shark. He's a cute little guy, so I'm excited to check this out. It looks like Jeff the Land Shark and his friends have been caught in a struggle over the Space Stone and flung across the galaxy to the middle of nowhere. What's a child-based odyssey to the pets of Earth's mightiest heroes? Don't miss this fan favorite Infinity Comics print debut. I was gonna say I think this might be a Marvel Online one that's coming to print. It's gonna be in shops on July 9th and it will cost $6.99. Check it out.
Yep, that's on the list as well.
Yep, I'm obviously going to get Jeff.
All right, so it looks like we could probably do that one as a club discussion for that one shot. Seems, yep, we'll throw that in there. Okay, this one isn't from Marvel proper because it's done by Clover Press, but it's the Marvel art of Michael Allred. Now, there was a Kickstarter for this, so it's one of those things. It always feels so weird when there's a Kickstarter and then it's also in the previews catalog. It's just, but yeah, whatever. The Kickstarter, you're going to have other options for extra bonuses and stuff, but this is the Clover Press is proud to present the next amazing artist in our series with the Marvel art of Michael Allred. I don't know if it mentions Laura in here, so I am going to put Laura into the synopsis because her colors are all over this here. But yeah, just kind of talking about the 30-year career of him working with like Marvel Comics throughout the years and things like that. And it's got just all the stuff that you can imagine. It's a 216-page 9x12 hardcover book. And Dan Slott has an introduction, so that's awesome. An afterword by Matt Fraction. Two of them were the authors for Allred's Silver Surfer and FF Run, respectively. But yeah, with the Kickstarter edition, I went all in with the big prints and all that kind of stuff because Michael Allred doesn't. Whenever he does prints, it's a very limited, expensive thing, and it's something that it's a not even offered like in a store or anything like that. It's only if it's like a special occasion or fundraiser and this and that. So to actually have prints of Mike Allred's work, it's a very rare thing outside of his, Madman world of things that he makes himself. So I've got the big grand old edition that's showing up eventually sometime. But if you missed out on the Kickstarter and you like Michael Allred art, this is going to be a must-have. Marvel art of Michael and Laura Allred. Kirby?
I am assuming these are all going to be one shots. They got a new thing going on called Bring On the Bad Guys. I love Abomination, so I want to get that one. I don't know if I'll get any of the other ones that they have here. They got Green Goblin and Loki are the two other ones, but the devil made them do it. Emil Blonsky is never one to turn down a good deal, whether it's to fell the mighty Groot slaying in exchange for his freedom from a Wakandan prison, or to collect a soul on behalf of Mephisto for a mystery boon. The Abomination is always the monster for the job, and he's going to prove it once and for all. It says that it's part 3 of 7 villainous one-shots. It sounds like all of them are connecting and gonna make an ongoing story, but I'm just gonna pick up the Abomination to check that out first.
Cool, cool. Katie?
Um, from another Disney mashup, we have What If Goofy Became Spider-Man? Um, check out our reviews throughout the past year of these Disney and Marvel character mashups. They've all been pretty fun. This says Goofy becomes the amazing Spider-Man in this tale that's sure to make you say, "Gosh." Goofy Parker must learn the ultimate lesson of responsibility to save his beloved Uncle Ben, and wait until you see what he does with those Beagle Boys. It'll be available on July 30th for $4.99.
That's also on my list.
Yeah.
Okay, club pick again. Of course, we seem to be on a theme here, so I'm gonna make sure everyone else knows about that. Next up here from Marvel, a Marvel swimsuit special, Friends, Foes, and Rivals. The swimsuit special returns. Roxxon Comics is at it again when they release their own unauthorized swimsuit special. Wasp is on the case and seizes the opportunity for Marvel's heroes to do their own swimwear fashion shoot all over the world. But fear not, true believers. We know what you're really here for. This supersized special features splash page after splash page of gorgeous art, but with a story so you can pretend you're reading it for the articles. It says. In the old Marvel swimsuit specials, it wasn't just, for pinups of ladies and stuff. They had some of like Punisher in there, and I think Black Panther had some, like pretty like sexy, photos and stuff. So while it seems on paper like it's just kind of like, all right, here's an excuse to put a bunch of women in pinups and stuff for swimsuits. All the old issues was all about having both male and female characters, and it's been a while since they've done this kind of thing beyond just like variant covers. DC has done similar things and everything, but so yeah, I'm definitely getting this one. We have Adam Hughes art on there, so if you're gonna look at a bunch of Tim Seeley's a writer on there along with Tony Fleeks.
Oh,
Cool. And but yeah, this is a lot of great talent and probably just a great display of artwork. And I'm sure there'll be some funny stuff in there too, because hopefully, maybe we'll see Jeff the Land Shark in a bathing suit. We'll see. I don't know. I don't see him on this specific cover, but that's why we got to buy the issue. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I was thinking about that one too because I love the Mark Brooks wraparound cover with surfboards.
yeah,
It pops with that color in there.
yeah. I was thinking about doing a double cover with that one and the main one that I'm looking at because yeah, that surfboard one was pretty sweet. So yeah, I'll get that. Kirby.
All right. I'll get this by the issue since it's only a 3 issue run. We got Wolverines and Deadpools. What's better than one-on-one? Punch on each other. Got Claws and Mutants, Mercs and Mollusks, Deadpools and Wolverines. What better than the best there is partnered up with the Merc with the Mullet? How about adding daughters Ellie Camacho and Laura Kinney to the mission as they go up against a classic X-villain? Wolverines and Deadpools, baby. I didn't know it was just going to be those four. I figured there'd be a bunch of Wolverines and a bunch of Deadpools, but 3 issues, I'll still check it out.
All right, Katie.
yeah. So my last one from Marvel is going to be an epic collection. I love these. So we have a Star Wars epic collection. This is from the modern era, and it is Kanan, the Last Padawan. This is such a good story. Originally, it came out as a 12-issue kind of maxi series telling the story of Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels, aka Jedi Padawan Caleb Dune. Um, really, really good. I don't want to spoil too much about it because it's very emotional. So just kind of the start is, as a Padawan, Kanan and his master were fighting in the Clone Wars. Order 66 happened, and his master sacrificed herself so that he could live. And this is kind of filling in what happened after that and how he survived and how that affected his relationship with the Force and how he looked at his time with the Jedi. It really, really good. I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be available on August 27th and is actually retailing for $37.99. Oh, and it looks like they're going to give us the whole story. So that's good too. It's covering the last Padawan, 1 through 5, and then Kanan 6 through 12. So very happy to see that. I'm still kind of grumpy at Marvel for that stunt they pulled with the knowingly organizing a book and selling it like it was the full story with no intention to do so. But this is the full story. It's out. It's really good. If you like Star Wars and you want a good Star Wars comic, I think this is a really good one because it's pretty self-contained, but check it out.
I think, is that Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character he voiced that character?
Yes, it is. That's right.
Because I've seen a little bit of Rebels. I bought season 1 a while back, and then I bought a lot of the comics, and yeah, I have yet to do a deep dive on it, but yeah, I like Freddie's.
Yep, that's his character.
Cool. All right, my next one here is a random one for me. This is Storm issue number 10. Let's see here. The Thunder War begins. It's a full circle moment. The FBI finally discover the mutant child from the Oklahoma incident from issue 1. I didn't read it. And the safe house Storm sheltered the child in. The FBI will not stop rather, until they take in this mutant child, as the kid's unmatched nuclear radiation powers make them a threat to humanity. Storm must protect this child, but there is one problem. The last time Storm was in close proximity to the child, they say Storm a lot, Storm died a horrible death. Meanwhile, in the far reaches of space, Eternity locates the Black Winter that consumed Galactus and Silver Surfer Soot, kick-starting the terrifying Thunder War, guest-starring Bishop, Art Baltazar's favorite character, Bishop, the gunslinging energy gobbler. So the cover is Storm on the Silver Surfer surfboard. It's a very awesome cover. Her hair is like a cool galactic cloud of white hair, and it just looks really cool. So at the very least, without having read the previous 9 issues, I think it's worth it for the cover alone. They mentioned the Silver Surfer. Yep, there Kirby showing it up on the YouTube version. They mentioned Galactus and Surfer, but it sounds like they existed once before with this Black Winter thing. So I don't even know if they're going to be in here. I don't know if she's actually going to be on a surfboard. I'm buying it because it looks great. Maybe it'll be a bonus that there is a surfer or a surfboard in there. I know nothing about it other than that cover is worth the money, and we'll see what the story is like. And it is beginning of this Thunder War, so at the very least, it's the start of an arc for jumping in 10 issues in. So, all right.
I'm out of Marvel ones.
Okay, and then Katie was out as well. I think I have
Yeah.
one sitting. Oh yes, there was a Werewolf by Night, Blood Moon Rise. Now, what was really cool about this is that a co-writer alongside Jason Liu is Michael Giacchino, who is the one that was responsible for the MCU Werewolf by Night, one of my favorite things produced by the MCU. This comes first. This comes a first of its kind tale of terror in the Marvel Universe, with one goal in mind: to show you why Werewolf by Night is as captivating as ever, with over 50 years of comic history and 100 times as many bodies in his wake. It doesn't really tell you anything about it, but the Michael Giacchino of it all, I think it's cool with him being responsible for that Marvel Studios special presentation. I'm curious to see what this will entail, and to see if maybe Man-Thing will show up. We'll see, but yep, they don't give you much information on what's going on, but I'll give it a shot. That's Werewolf by Night, Blood Moon Rise, and then there was another giant size X-Men too with Kamala Khan. So just to to finish that off, and okay, so that is going to do it for Marvel. Kirby, do you want to kick it off for DC?
Sure.
Oh wait, you didn't have DC, right?
Or no DC for me.
Then Katie, would you like to kick it off for DC?
Yeah, you should get everything in the catalog. Contact your store, let them know you would like at least 2 copies of every floppy. But I actually don't have anything new from DC. I'm open to some club picks, however.
Okay, I've got a couple here, so I'll rattle it off. Batman 66 Compendium. Now, this compendium, I believe it's a trade paperback edition. This has a lot of comics in it, and a lot of those trade paperback compendium things, whether you're talking about like The Walking Dead and things like that. Sweet Tooth, I think, has a really good one. Always really good binding for such a thick book with paperback edition. I think our G.I. Joe one recently came out. Our friend Matt Rogers has that one. This is the collaboration of many people here, including Michael and Laura Allred. You got Jeff Parker, Mark and Draco, blah, 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 Ty Templeton. Okay, so basically, this is telling more stories from the Adam West Batman 66 universe from that television show. It's not adapting any of those stories, it is brand new tales. I have a random selection of those. Michael Allred did the covers for that entire like 30 or 31 issue run. But the last issue of that series was actually Michael and Laura Allred did the interiors, and there's a little special cameo from a young Michael Allred and his brother Lee Allred, that they like drew themselves into the world of the 1966 Batman, and just a little Stan Lee size cameo as kids and stuff. But this compendium for this price, I gotta look here. Batman 66. Regular retail is $60. Some online discounts can get you down to like $42. But this includes this is the expanded edition, which has the Batman 66 1 through 30, the Batman 66 The Lost Episode #1, a one shot, and a story from the Solo #7 series that they did. But then it also includes the crossovers from Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman #1 through 6. I do have all those individually, and then the Batman 66 meets the Legion of Superheroes #1. I might have that one as well, but this is a giant collection of all of that stuff there. So discount wise, price wise, and affordable, convenient wise, it's a good collection. So I'm gonna get that one and not be so dependent on trying to fill in the gaps of all my single issues I'm missing. Okay, let's see. Since I'm the only one for DC, I got to go down my list here. More DC Sonic the Hedgehog, issue #5. That might be the end of that one. If not, they're doing 6. Oh, here we go. They have this one. I like the title on this one. DC's California, as in California, California Love. Brighter than a Hollywood star, more powerful than a Silicon Valley tech, able to leap tall redwood trees in a single bound. It's DC's California Love, written by Brian Q. Miller, Brandon Thomas, Joshua. There's a whole bunch of names that keeps on going of everybody involved. Let's see here. The whole super family is hitting the road in a series of action-packed adventures across the great state of California. Supergirl's day at the beach is interrupted by a demonic creature from the deep and John Constantine. Let's see. John, Connor, Kent team up to wrangle. Oh, okay, hold on here. Oh, John and Connor Kent, not John Connor. That's Terminator. John. John and Connor Kent team up to wrangle an escaped beast in the Redwoods. Bizarro literally crashes an audition for a major motion picture and joins Superman and Lois in a kaiju from the California as a kaiju. I'm having trouble reading here. As a kaiju from the California ocean comes from their family vacation. Blah blah blah. It's a summer of Superman. Cool cover of Supergirl with some sunglasses in her suit, and she's at the beach. And I like the title of California, so I'm in for a cheap gimmick. So there's that. Go down the list here. DC Comics, DC Comics. See if I have any more to finish us off for this before we jump over to Kirby to start with Independence. I think that is it for DC Comics. So those are the two I'm excited for. Kirby, independent stuff.
All right. We got another new Vampirella run going. We have Vampirella Armageddon.
I need glasses too, I think.
Yeah. Return to the future world of Sepulcher City in Vampirella Armageddon from the masterfully mesmerizing creative team of writer Tom Schnagoski and artist Kubar Bal. Picking up where Schnagoski's most recent Vampirella Strike series left off, Armageddon opens with the daughter of Draculon beset on all sides by the forces of chaos. even as a new threat arrives to add to her troubles, a threat that is not of this mortal plane. Bolsters by, okay, it's talking about covers and stuff like that. But it's a new run. I want to see where it goes. I'll get at least the first issue or so. But the main reason I'm picking this up is they're doing this. Don't miss this special Mark Spears crossover cover featuring his famous monsters, and be sure to get Vampirella's companion cover on Mark Spears Monsters #1. So I'm gonna have to get both of those crossing over, and I fell in love with Mark Spears. He's one of my new favorite artists. And a friend of mine just went to a show, and he's disabled. And people seeing him and his ma going up, and they all let him go to the front of the line because the line was so far out the building, it was going down this hill, and he couldn't hold his wheelchair up decent on that hill. So they let him up to the front, and Mark Spears was only doing, I think, like a limit of 3 signings or something. Sat there and gave him a couple books and let him get 7 books signed by him. So
Nice.
it's pretty nice of him, and gave him some, I forgot what the other little sticker thing or whatever it was. It was cool. His artwork's just awesome.
Jump over to Katie.
Yeah, so continuing a series I brought to the club a few times, we have Cursed Princess Club, Volume 5. I was really pleasantly surprised to see this because, to be honest, I legitimately thought that it ended at Volume 4. So, all right, we got some more from the Cursed Princess Club, continuing the story of Gwendolyn and her friends, where she is now learning to blend her friends from the club with her real world and finally host a dinner party. And she has to convince her family that her guests from the club are totally normal and definitely not cursed. And the entire Plaid Kingdom royal family's coming too. I really enjoyed these. They're fun. They're lighthearted. I honestly feel like they're probably appropriate for like 5th grade on up so far. It is written and art by Lamb Cat. That is their pen name, and it is published by Webtoons Unscrolled. It's going to be available on November 26, 2025. 1 through 4 are out right now, and it will cost $18.99. Check it out and go grab volumes 1 through 4 of Cursed Princess Club.
All right. This next thing is colliding of fandoms of worlds that I never would have predicted to be a real, actual thing. I am talking about Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob. Snitchy Goochies, Archie fans. Yes, you read that right. Acclaimed writer, director, actor, producer, and podcaster Kevin Smith takes the teens you know and love from Riverdale on the wildest ride of their lives. What's supposed to be a summer job at Quick Stop for Archie Andrews turns into so much more, from a budding friendship with co-worker Randall Graves, crashing a Pussycats concert, a potential new love interest, Jay and Silent Bob being, well, Jay and Silent Bob, and a musical number that will be burned into your brain forever. Plus, could Jay and Silent Bob even help Archie to finally choose between Betty and Veronica? Snoogans. Featuring legendary Archie artist Fernando Ruiz and inker Rich Kozlowski, this is a double-sized can't-miss event for mature audiences, unlike anything you've ever done before. Now, it is done in a classic Archie style. It is a very rare R-rated Archie comic. Now, I'm sure Kevin Smith could probably do, a all reader friendly version of that and stuff like that. They did the ABC cartoon for Clerks, and that still, was relatively all ages and fun. This is something I just was not predicting to ever exist. There are so many amazing covers. Kirby is showing them off on the screen. I have a lot of covers pre-ordered. I'm trying to be a good boy and not get every single one, even though they are amazing. So I'm getting some of my top favorites. And if I find those other ones in the wild throughout the years, then that's fine. I almost bought some original pages from this story. I just had to tell myself no, because I was just going to go nuts. This I cannot wait to see what this is, especially when it's done in an R-rated fashion, and it's just like, this is, I can't believe this is a thing. So Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob this July. Derby?
I don't know why they're doing this, letting runs, all these new wonderful stories go 5 issues, then they're starting them over with the same name, and just, we did it just recently with Darkwing Duck, and there's been other ones in the past. Geiger restarted all that. But here we got Space Ghost #1 again. And it's the Guardian of the Spaceways returns for more Evil 14 action in an all-new series, kicking off with the first appearance of a classic Space Ghost villain. A Space Ghost and Blip fight to defuse a hostage situation on an amusement park planet that's been hijacked by the villainous toy maker. Jan and Jace are confronted by a mysterious figure from their past, a meeting that will shake the Ghost Planet's team to the core. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'll jump on it and stick with it again. But yeah, they could have easily went to issue 6 and just kept going with it. You don't see as many covers with this as you did with other Space Ghost ones, but they got a few.
Yeah, it seems with just kind of making enough for a trade, give it a subtitle, but yeah, it just gets confusing when you just keep having #1s over and over again, and just
Yep.
Katie?
All right, so my last pick is from Oni Press. It's Adventure Time, Volume 1, Best of Buds. So earlier this year, the Adventure Time comics relaunched, has a whole team of people, including Nick Wynn, Derek M. Ballard, Asia Simone, Jorge Monlongo, Brenda Hickey, Derek Ballard, and Nick Wynn again, doing some cover work. So I've read Adventure Time comics kind of like here and there, never really in order or anything. But what I've read, I really enjoy. Has been a great mirror to the TV show in terms of voice and tone and style. And the first series really captured the same kind of bittersweet whimsy of the TV show. I really appreciated that. And I think this looks like it'll be fun. So we're going to learn about when Finn and Jake save the newly installed computer princess from the clutches of the evil Ice King. And we are also going to hear about songwriting lovesick poets to attending art shows with megalomaniacs to dance battles with the Cat Queen in the funky reaches of outer space. Finn and Jake find themselves on a truly mathematical and, dare we say, radical journey on their quest to complete the CP's request. CP standing for Computer Princess. It is, looking forward to this. It's collecting volumes 1 through 4 of the new series. It'll be in shops on November 26th, again costing $19.99. Check it out and check out some of those back catalog of Adventure Time comics. And that's going to be my last pick.
All right, Kirby and I will ping pong back and forth for our final picks here. I made the mistake a long time ago on this podcast of making a public information that I'm a sucker for just a really great title, because now it's just such an easy ploy to get me to buy things. And it's very true with this next one here, a graphic novel from Paper Cuts, On Nuts, The Crumbelievable Adventures of Peanut and Jelly. All right, get your just desserts with this puntastic buddy comedy featuring Peanut and Jelly. Every morsel falls into place within the Foodtopia pyramid. Well-peeled fancy folks rain from the toppings, average doughs make up the filling, and at the bottom, the odd foods out form the crumbs. This is where we find Peanut and Jelly. They may be lowly employees at the crumb dump for now, but these ride or fry are determined to rise to the coveted upper crust. But when they accidentally unleash a crumb feeder into the city, their plans look shakier than an uneven souffle. This tale has stakes, that's EAKS, artichoke heart, and is ripe with comedy. I don't know why I would ever want anything, a comic book in a food format. I just don't know why I'm attracted to that kind of concept, but I'm going to get this. On Nuts, The Crumbelievable Adventures of Peanut and Jelly. Kirby?
All right. Glad to see that they finally brought something else out for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
We got Disney, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen graphic novel. Jack and Sally Skeletons seem like the perfect couple, but all is not well in Halloween Town. After escaping from Dr. Finkelstein and marrying her true love, Jack, Sally has become the realm's official pumpkin queen. But as much as she adores her skeletal husband, the spotlight of popular attention and the weight of her many new royal obligations have left Sally wondering if she might have actually just traded one form of captivity for another. To make matters worse, when Sally and Zero discover a hidden doorway leading to the previously unknown Dreamtown, the resulting cascade of calamities threatens not only her new position as Pumpkin Queen, but also the very foundations of her world. To save her beloved home, Sally will have to summon all the strength she has within her seams, or else the future could become a nightmare without Halloween. I like that. See what happens.
Excellent. This is back issue number 162. This is back issue goes mad. Things get crazy this issue with Madman, Batman, Mad Love, Mad Superhero Movie parodies, The Mad Hatter, Mad Balls, and more. Featuring the work of Michael Allred, I'm going to throw in Laura Allred as well, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Jerry Conway, Doug Mensch, Mike W. Barr, Jeff Loeb, and others. Madman cover is done by Michael Allred. I've seen this image before. I think it's on some sort of one of the Kickstarter things through Michael Allred's merchandise. Christopher Irving friend. I think this art has shown up on a digest or something. But this is Back Issue Magazine. I think I have a couple issues. I don't recall if it's just a big collection of things, and I don't know if there's new things in there or what. But it's a giant magazine thing that has Madman on the cover. So I will get issue number 162 of Back Issue Magazine. Kirby?
Yeah, I missed that. I'll have to find that.
Yep.
All right, this is Archie versus Minor Threats #1. And I love what Patton Oswalt's been doing. So, not a hoax, not a dream. The fun-loving teens of Riverdale collide with the crooked super criminals of Twilight City in the most bombastic crossover of the year. It's your favorite high schoolers forced to fight your favorite costumed villains in a story that will have lasting ramifications on all involved. Archie, Betty, Veronica, Jughead, and friends are on their way to a field trip to Twilight City when the magical meddling of Sabrina the Teenage Witch lands them in the seedy underbelly of Redport, the most villainous part of town, controlled by Frankie Fowlis, aka Playtime, and her gang of minor threats. Archie and the others suddenly find themselves drafted into both sides of the war. Playtime as waging against magic users in her turf. One thing is for sure, blood and milkshakes will be spilled. Yeah. 2 comics I enjoyed. Again, another Archie crossover.
Yeah, I've only just barely dipped my toes in the water of Minor Threats, but this one's on my list too because Archie. So,
Yep.
Buffy, Power of Friendship, Little Golden Book. Join Buffy Summers and her friends from the fan favorite TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer in this adventure filled Little Golden Book for all ages. Whether it's slaying vampires, fighting monsters, or breaking curses, Buffy Summers and her friends Willow, Xander, and Giles always stick together to save Sunnydale and the world. If you are a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you have some young ones in your life and you don't know when it's appropriate to have them start watching that television show, maybe start to plant the seed a little bit with this Little Golden Book for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So some real cute designs there on the cover. I'm excited to get that. And that's it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Power of Friendship. Kirby?
Another one. Quick Stops Volume 3 #1.
Yeah.
If you missed Volume 1 and 2, you want to definitely get those if you're a fan of Clerks. Holden McNeil and Banky Edwards are best known for creating the smoking hot superhero comic book Bluntman and Chronic, tour de force of the dick and fart joke genre. For Holden, it's a way to pay the bills, but he longs to create the kind of art he and Banky did at the beginning of their career. Something personal, something that means something. Enter Alyssa Jones, the coolest girl in the world, and someone who means something. This is the comic Holden wrote about her, a comic about love, a comic about insecurity, a comic about growth, a comic about chasing aim. Yeah, all kinds of good Kevin Smith stuff coming out, and Quick Stops were lots of fun. giving you extended versions of the stories from the movies.
100%. And the first cover is a tribute to the Michael Allred Chasing Amy cover. So to keep connecting Kevin Smith and Michael Allred stuff, this here is Michael Allred was the artist that is all the work that you see Ben Affleck do, Holden McNeil do in the movies of Blunt Man and Chronic. That's all Michael Allred art. Michael Allred has a cameo in the opening of Chasing Amy as well. And this cover here for the comic is a tribute version from John Springelmeyer, who does his take on what I'm holding on the YouTube video here as an example of the Michael Allred version. So it's a lot of cool stuff. I'm excited that that's actually going to be a cover of a comic book too. So, all right. So that one is on my list. Let me get back here as well to see where I am at. Yes, this one I'm excited to talk about. Go Berserk. This is done by Michael Federale and Shane Campos. Let's see. They bring you the whimsical world of would-be superhero Berserk as she explores the silly suburbs of Io City. She's joined by her little brother Medbot, new best friend Tetra, and always looking up to Io City's high-flying champion Pizzao. Lurking in the shadows of Io City are oddball villains and memorable monsters of all shapes and sizes, like Abracadabra and the Cowl Magician. Abracadabra, the Cow Magician, Kaboom Box, the robotic rapper, Mommy Brain, the evil android, and the most rotten wrongdoer of them all, Obnoxio. Does a powerless kid like Berserk stand a chance against such impossible odds? Shane Campos is a friend of mine. We had him on Cartoonist by Night. He was gracious enough to let us get the preview copy of the Go Berserk graphic novel. And at the time of this recording, I'm about to send out a package because we are doing an art trade. I'm going to get the hardcover version from him, or it might just be a paperback. I see it's paperback, at least here. And then he's going to get some Rice Christophers, and then we're sending each other some art too. But he doesn't know I'm sending him this art. This will be in his hands before it's out on YouTube. But I drew his Go Berserk character, Medbot, and Tetra. So I drew those out there to surprise him in that art trade that we're doing. But I was happy to see that this is being solicited through because it was originally a Kickstarter. And I know I said this earlier about things being Kickstarters and then being in the catalog. I'm talking about Marvel, DC, Image Comics, Dynamite, all the big ones. This here's, Rocket Ship Entertainment, smaller people and stuff like that. Go Berserk is super fun for all ages, good superhero fun. Kids that just want to be superheroes. There's cool robots, and that Abracadabra is just a hilarious cow character. I had a lot of fun with that book. It's definitely something I would have picked up naturally, and so I'm excited to actually add a couple more copies for future gifts to get those characters in other people's hands. That is Go Berserk. Check it out. Kirby?
Another one that went back to issue 1 after 5 issues, Toxic Avenger Comics #1. You demanded it, so here it is. A new ongoing series featuring the movie's closest hero, masterminded by the hit creative team from 2024's Toxic Avenger miniseries. In this issue's self-contained horror story, kids are disappearing from Toxie's hometown of Traumaville, New Jersey. Did they simply run away from the chemically polluted town? Or is the real explanation even more frightening? Find out before the new Toxie film hits theaters this summer. I didn't know that was coming out already.
How long do you think it takes before Jay and Silent Bob meet the Toxic Avenger? Like,
I don't know. They are doing the toxic team ups now.
okay,
So where they're putting them with different characters. So I can see that.
yeah, especially with the Jersey roots and all that.
Yep.
While I was talking about Shane Campos, his ears must have been ringing because he liked one of my photos on Instagram like 3 minutes ago while I was talking about him. So I heard a buzz and I'm like, oh, is it important? I'm like, oh, it's Shane Campos. So, all right. Let's see here. There's a Hellboy story. Hellboy and the BPRD Professor Harvey is Gone one shot. A paranoid antiquities professor goes missing, and Hellboy's search for him takes a dangerous turn when the same person who was after the professor might be after Hellboy as well. Mike Mignola writes, and Giuseppe Menuda, let's see here, draws this new one shot. It feels like it's been a while since we've mentioned any Hellboy stuff, so maybe I just haven't been privy to it, but I'm excited to get a new one shot. Hellboy in the BPRD. Professor Harvey is gone. Kirby?
Yeah, they've been bringing a few interesting ones out lately. This is my final one. I got Catacomb of Torment #1.
Yeah.
EC comic style. For her royal travesty of Bane's first request, master storytellers John Arcudi and Tanchi Zunjik and David Lapham and Margaret Bennett and Dan McDade each take turns manning the rack and turning the red hot irons for 3 all new and blisteringly brutal tales of mayhem and malice in the undying EC tradition. Plus, an added bonus, a surprise classic from the EC vaults, painstakingly remastered and newly restored to its original coloring. Critics are already saying this is literal torture, and please make it stop. Pick up this fearful 40-page first issue. Yeah, they've been doing a good job with these EC remakes, so I'll check this one out too.
Cool. The final two I have, Hellboy in Love. There's a 2-issue miniseries that begins The Art of Fire, so that's on the list as well. And this thing is once again, I can understand why I missed Volume 1 because of the name. The Volume 2 has an extra name in it. So I'm talking about Mighty Onion and Guinea Pig Girl. All right. When we last saw our heroes, comic book creating heroes, that is, Elliot and Pam had just gotten the opportunity of their dreams. The Mighty Onion comic is going to be featured in the Piffling Bugle newspaper. This is the big leagues. That means that every week they'll write and illustrate new issues of the Mighty Onion to be printed for the whole town to see. Stardom where they come. But with new opportunities come new priorities. Pam gets recruited to be the artist of one of the Bugle's highest profile comic strips, forcing her to juggle her time between both creative projects. With Pam too busy and Elliot feeling betrayed, the strain soon splits the two apart. Does the spell end for the Avengers of Mighty Onion and Guinea Pig Girl, and Pam and Elliot too? I looked it up. Volume 1 doesn't have the Guinea Pig Girl name in the title. I don't know if that character eventually shows up. This synopsis leads to make sure that makes you think that she's part of the first one because it doesn't talk about Guinea Pig Girl at all in there, so she might just be part of the first one. But yeah, the first one synopsis that I put in my shopping cart said something about like onion rings or something, so that's where like the Mighty Onion comes from. So yeah, I'm real curious about this. It feels like it's got a fun angle on it, and I'm real curious about Guinea Pig Girl. So it's a good name. So for fans of Squirrel Girl, maybe that's their way to do Guinea Pig Girl. So all right, that is going to do it for my list there. There's hundred upon hundreds of pages. We can't cover them all, so we always recommend to reach out to your local comic book shop, ask for the previous catalog, go to your preferred online retailers, check it out. So many comics, and it's important to pre-order that stuff and let the stores and the publishers and the writers and creators and everybody involved know that you want their stuff. So check it out for yourselves. Those are just some recommendations. Let's see here. Going down to plug time. We had just gotten back from the West Bend High School's Comic Con. At the time of this recording, it hasn't happened yet, so we are going to say it went amazing. We sold millions of things, but the real important thing is that David had a hand in releasing 2 comic books. One being The Grave Sweeper, that was previously on the CrimsonCowl.com website. If you missed it on there, it's not too late because now you can get the printed version. So it was exclusive to the website, but now it's exclusive to print. That is the character that I play, that I co-created with David from his short films, and all that information is on the website to link to those short films and such for his Doc Oscar adventures. And it's fun to now have this horror anthology, horror host type character exist in a comic book that David mostly wrote and drew. I know David Gloyd II chipped in for a page or two of the story. But the fact that, my character I played in a short film is now a comic book character as well. So that comic debuted at the West Bend High School's Comic Con alongside the one that his students made from the West Bend High School's Comic Club. I don't think David creatively had any input. He may have served as editor or things like that, but yeah. So two brand new comics under like the Crimson Cowl Media related banner. Yeah. So reach out to David if you're interested in copies after the fact, assuming there are some left. I cannot speak for it because the event hasn't happened yet. But thank you to all those who showed up at the event that didn't happen yet. CrimsonCowl.com for info and original webcomics. If you want the audio version, then you go to Crimson Cowl Comic Club on iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review to help the show grow. If you want the full experience, then go over to YouTube, the full video experience, Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell, comment, share, all of that fun stuff to help us grow. Kirby, you have Under the Cowl of MS. Let people know what's going on over there so I can take a drink of water.
Yeah, if you want to get some awesome cheap comics, go into my live sale, my live videos tabs, and you'll see my friends that we've been doing usually Friday nights. Now we've been doing like 4 to 6 hours of live claim sales, depending on how many sellers come on, and we do about 15-minute stretches between each other. And so you get a nice variety of things that are out there. Also, still more reviews, previews, all that good stuff. Pretty soon I'll be back full force again once I'm done with all my moving around.
Cool. So yeah, follow and subscribe to Under the Cowl of MS for podcasts, and especially YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and wherever you get all of that stuff. Under the Cowl of MS. I have 2 issues of Rice Christopher, latchkeykid@gmail.com if you want those. LAATSCH. And then I also have Facebook and Instagram artist accounts. I just released a bunch of Star Wars May the 4th drawings and crispy doodles and stuff. So I did a lot of creature characters. I threw in one Princess Leia for good measure, but I specifically was drawn a lot of the Star Wars creatures. So I've been posting those over there, and I have some Looney Tunes coming up that I've been waiting for, because by the time this releases, we'll be close to the day the Earth blew up. I think that was the I think the day the Earth blew up, I think, was the Looney Tunes movie, because there's a similar movie, a classic movie that has a title. I don't know why
I thought you were predicting something.
Oh yeah, maybe I am. We are recording in the future, but
Anthony Laatsch.
but the the day the Earth stood still is the classic thing, but the day the Earth blew up is the Looney Tunes movie. Saw it in theater, loved it. It's coming out on Blu-ray at the end of May. I'm gonna have some drawings that coincide to celebrate the release. Everybody should get that to keep Looney Tunes in our lives. Cartoonist by Night over on YouTube. We just had an Eric Wolfgang episode. We just recorded again with Adam Crone for his second appearance. So yeah, check those episodes out. The Adam Crone one, yeah, that one will be out by then. And I think that is going to do it. So that is it for all the plugs. Thank you. Oh yeah, one more plug, because he's standing right in front of me. Our friend Brian Lynch from Hot Wing of Justice, the creator of Jokin' the Pumpkin, released these blind box versions of this pumpkin character. On the YouTube, you see the orange version that Kirby got in the blind box. I got the red version. There is other colors. There's exclusive one-off colors. If you want to get one for yourselves, there's only half of the original lot left. He's going to do some other series as well. But to get in on the ground floor in these blind boxes, reach out to Hot Wing of Justice on Instagram and you'll be able to get the information and shoot him a message if you want one of these pumpkins. This character was supposed to be a one-off cartoon thing for his daily cartoony post. It became a sensation, and now it has his own art book. There's a second volume coming out soon, and now there's a toy. This thing has taken the world by storm. Jokin' the Pumpkin, check it out. And he's got his own Instagram for Jokin' Lantern, I think is the Instagram account. So much stuff. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you for checking out the show. This whole time, I've been leaving nowhere.
Untaka kaka, untaka kaka.
And I had a great time at the West Bend High School's Comic-Con.
Oh, excellent. To be continued.